Okay, good afternoon. This is Jeff Head with Jeff Head YouTube channel. 1/350th scale modern naval vessels. In this case, I have a 1/350th scale Asahi class vessel. It's made by Arts Technique and also marketed by Pitt Road. Very, very good model. This is a resin model, all of it, although it does have quite a bit of metal and other components, as you shall see. This is the box that it came in. Now, back here behind that box, we have the ship itself. Let me move this over. That is the ship, and it's in multiple parts that fit so very nicely together that it's pretty amazing. Little to no seams or anything like that in between these guys, and you put it together, you glue it and put it together. Lots of painting, a lot of detail. Let me show you the instructions that came with the model. They're almost all in completely Japanese, which makes them a little difficult to read, but not too bad because they're so well done. So here we go with the various so what you have here is all of the parts on this first page, and then on the second page more parts, including the decals. A really good set of aftermarket, almost, if you will, metal parts for the sensors and all of those railings are made to fit. That's really nice. Also a nice stand, a metal chain that actually reaches down into the ship and comes out and circles the vessel's entire anchor, the helicopter, etc. And then a lot of other metal parts. A great set of decals. If you keep going, then you get into how the various parts fit together on this model, and they fit together very well. The Japanese built 2 of these ships, and they were built to go along with 4 other vessels that were built prior to these 2 ships, the Akizuki vessels, 4 of those, and these are called Japanese AEGIS because they have their own version and dual radars. Let's go down here and look at you see on the back side there of the front of the ship there, it's forward portion of the vessel. You see a 32 MK-141 32 cell vertical launch missiles, and they're there to carry different types of things, but principally for ESSMs. And if you take 32 times 4, you've got 128 of them. There are 2 of those 20mm close-in weapon system by Phalanx. Then, of course, as I said, you have the bridge, and you have dual radars on the bridge. These have been made to talk with and work with not only Japan's Aegis missiles, Aegis vessels, both the 4 Kongo vessels and the 4 Atago vessels, but also with the United States vessels. They carry 1 Seahawk helicopter and 1 unmanned vertical takeoff and landing copter that can be used either to locate and do recon for both submarines and ships, or as I understand it, to carry some weaponry to attack submarines they may find. So that's the instructions to the vessel. These are the major parts. What we'll do is we'll put this ship together, and at certain points as I put it together, I will take apart, I will take another and make another video. Hold on a second here while I open this box up. And there's the other parts to the ship. The 119 was the first one. I'm going to be building the 120, which was the second, and was commissioned in 2019. Not too long ago. And these are very, very good decals, and I'll show you how I know that here in just a minute. Here's the metal for the railings and other sensors, again built to fit. And here's all sorts of parts that were shown in the instructions, including, if we get closer here, we can maybe see some of them. You can see the surface-to-surface missiles, the chain. It's got brass blades, for the ship and its propulsion, coag propulsion. Now that's what this ship is. And these ships were made specifically to escort 3 different ships. They were made to escort the Hyuga carriers, especially the Izumo class larger carriers that will be carrying the F-35s, F-35Bs, and also to escort the Atago AEGIS vessels and any Kongo, but particularly the Atago vessels as they perform their duties in anti-ballistic missile defense for the islands of Japan. Now, the 4 vessels that were created before this carried a very similar, in fact, exactly the same weapons load. However, there are some differences. The front bridge has all of the radars in this vessel, whereas they were split between that front bridge and this trailing area where on top of the hangar they built another structure, and I'll show you those in a minute. And the other 4 then had the same weapons, but a few different things were built into this to optimize it for anti-submarine warfare. I'm going to go over here and pull one of the other vessels out. This is the same people built this ship, and I then purchased and built it. And the new 25DD project, which I just showed you, is Asahi, is also was that same company, Arts Technique, And Pitt Road also made this ship, which is one of the Akizuki class vessels, of which there are 4. And you can see the differences I talked about. Here's the forward bridge and its mast, as well as the various systems. And then back here you see the aft structure carrying the radars looking aft, whereas on the new ship those are further forward. So this ship is, aside from that and aside from some of the more sophisticated towed radar arrays and electronics specifically for anti-submarine warfare, this vessel is in essence the same as the vessel I'm going to build. This was the DD-116 Asahi class vessel, and it was a great ship to build. I would recommend it to anyone. They go together very nicely, easily painted, and just a beaucoup number of parts that go together nicely. And as you can tell, you end up with virtually a museum class vessel with these ships. And I'm glad to say that. They look very good. Next to my Ford class aircraft carrier, the CVN-80, which is the USS Enterprise, which has started building and will soon be laid out in the ways there in Virginia. That was my favorite build because I took a Trumpeter Nimitz class carrier and completely rebuilt it to be a Ford class carrier, and then made it the CVN-80 USS Enterprise. If you get a chance, take a look at it on this same channel. I think you'll agree with me that it's a very good model. I've got a couple of hundred painted individuals, or more perhaps, taking care of the planes, standing watches, etc. And I also have 6th generation aircraft. That particular ship was built to represent the Enterprise in the 2030s, in the mid to late 2030s, with the oldest planes being the F-35Cs and the newest planes being both the Grumman and the Boeing 6th generation naval aircraft. I think anybody would enjoy looking at that, and I urge you to do so. Also urge you to join the Jeff Head YouTube channel, because we have many videos about all of the major naval weapons, modern major naval vessels and weapons in the world today. China, Australia, United States, United Kingdom, all of the major aircraft carrier groups and their escorts, and videos of each. I'm hoping at some point to have a 1/350th scale Izumo, or the follow-on carrier that Japan may build, loaded down with F-35s. I do have an entire group in 1/700th scale with both of the Izumos loaded up with F-35s and all of their escorts. You might want to take a look at that. They're not as detailed as these, being at 1/700th scale, but they're still nonetheless good models, and they show what in the Western Pacific is happening. You have a naval's arms race, with China building the aircraft carriers that they're building. They've built 2. A third is building and will probably be launched in the next 1 to 2 years. And the thinking is that if they start a 4th one, Japan will build 2 more aircraft carriers larger than the Izumus, and instead of carrying 30 F-35Bs, they might be able to carry 42. And those 42 F-35Bs would be more than a match against the 50 J-15s that the Chinese carry. Now, don't get me wrong, the Chinese J-15 is an excellent 4.5 model or aircraft, 4.5 generation, but the 5th generation sensor fusion stealth aircraft of the F-35B will be able to take them on and defeat them, in my opinion. And it is well known that the Chinese are looking for a 5th generation stealth aircraft of their own, in addition to their J-20 that they have, which is an Air Force aircraft and too large for carriers. They have another one that they had originally built for the foreign market that it's thought they're trying as hard as they can to get it ready for their own carriers. I'd be surprised if they didn't, because they are being trumped, so to speak. No pun intended, but they are being trumped. Koreans have bought F-35Bs for their carriers. The Indians want them for their 3 carriers, and the Australians are now seriously considering them for their 2 carriers. Of course, the United States will have them on their 10 nuclear-powered carriers and have set aside 4 LHAs and LHDs to act in a escort carrier role, carrying 24 to 28 F-35Bs. So the Chinese are going to have a hard time simply keeping up with the number of carriers that are already available to these countries, all of which will have 5th generation stealth aircraft. That's not to minimize what the Chinese have done. They have built excellent carriers and excellent aircraft to go with them. Their carriers and their aircraft are better than what they originally got as a result of the Russian build of that 2nd carrier of theirs, which was the Chinese 1st carrier, which they then improved and built another of. Their next carrier is going to be a Kato bar carrier, probably conventionally powered, and they will build 1 or 2 of those, and then they're going to supposedly build 1 or 2 nuclear-powered carriers, which will become their standard from then on. And as carriers are, taken down, as they reach their age limits, they will continue building those nuclear carriers. And that's quite amazing. And their escorts, the Type 052D and the new Type 055s, are very impressive. They're still lacking in the nuclear submarine area, but they do have them. So you would be crazy to underestimate them, and I'm sure the captains of the Korean, Japanese, Australian, and particularly the Americans do not underestimate them at all. But the equipment that is available, particularly in the AEW area and in the aircraft, are significantly ahead of what the Chinese have right now. And they are in dire need of, in both of those areas, of increasing their capability. But this video has been about the 25DD project for the Japanese DD-119 Asahi class destroyers that they have come out with, which are very, very good destroyers and really, really well built. and they are very squared away. And we are fortunate to have them as our allies now, as they have been since the end of World War II, when we rebuilt them and worked with them to develop a constitutional republic, which has much benefited Japan and the world as far as I'm concerned, because they have good products and are much more peaceful, even though they have a very strong set of naval weapons. So that's it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. And please feel free to join up with Jeff Head's channel on YouTube. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.